Hello there, welcome back to Jennie Designs with Paper. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. I'm working on an art journal page with some new to me stuff, so get comfy and let's get crafting. So I have a bunch of stuff on my desk here. The P.H. Martin watercolors were a Mother Day gift from my sweet husband, and I'm going to use this little ceramic palette. I have a whole bunch of ephemera odds and ends from my ephemera drawer that I'm going to add to this page. And they're all in shades of brown and then blues and greens. I'm working on a piece of watercolor paper today. This is 6 by 9 inches, and I'll trim that down in a bit. And then the last thing I'm using here is the sticker set that one of my daughters gave me for Mother's Day. And I'm going to be using the gal that's like standing by herself there on the side. I thought about the other one, but that's where I ended up. So I pulled out my palette here, and I'm going to add a drop of red, and then I pulled out the deep yellow, which actually reads more orange. And the only other yellow in this palette was yellow ochre, and that was just a little bit too muted for me. So I had to come up with something else. And so that's something else. Well, I pulled out another watercolor palette, and I added some of the Winsor Newton. It's Winsor Newton. It's a palette I got, like for Christmas or my birthday. And I'm going to use these two lighter yellows, and I'm just going to get them wet with some water on a paintbrush, and then pick up that palette. Oh my gosh, I can't speak to you guys. Sorry, words are hard. I'm going to pick up the pigment and just place it like by rubbing or wiping off my paintbrush on the edge of that palette. So I'll have a red and kind of an orangey color and a couple of colors or shades of yellow to work with on the background of my art journal here. I am using the red, orange, and yellow combination for the background because the woman sticker is, her accent color is green. And so I wanted that to kind of stand up off of the background of this page. So I'm working on my watercolor paper. I have this old texture stamp set from Stampin' Up. You could use any texture. This stamp is kind of a grid. So I'm going to be using that. And instead of black, I'm going to use this watering can archival ink pad. And I'm going to stamp mainly in the bottom right corner. And I will add a few things in the top left, but I want this to be kind of a bottom heavy page down here. I'm just kind of offsetting and stamping them. Nothing too earth-shattering or pattern creating. I'm not worrying about being super close to the edge because, like I said, I am going to trim that down. Another stamp, this is the Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous stamp set, and I pulled out that script block. I had it upside down on this one. Doesn't matter, you can't read it. I'm stamping off this time though. I'm using the full color of the ink, and then I'm stamping it off to get a little bit of a lighter image. Again, working on the bottom right and top left hand corners. That's just how this page in my brain is screaming to get out. This page actually is kind of the combination of a couple of other pages that I've seen on Pinterest and social media. Kind of the background with the watercolor. This Stampin' Up! Stamp set also has some ink splats. So I'm going to go ahead and use that stamp and add some of those little splats. There's a couple of places where that scripty stamp had a bubble or something in it, so it did not stamp very well in the middle, or I just didn't push down hard enough. So I kind of added some ink splats there. I stamped off and used the second and third generation stamping a couple of times. This is just texture for the background. Most of this is not really actually very visible when the page is completed. It's not something that you notice. Like you can see it, but you don't notice it. Okay, so I sped up the speed of this part because this was the longest part. It did take a hot minute. And this is a number 4 brush, and I put some water down in this kind of stamped area, and I'm picking up that lightest yellow, and I'm going to just keep adding water until I get it to be about the size I want it to be. I'm also going to add a little bit of that yellow up in the top left-hand corner, kind of a mirror image of what's going on down below, but not exactly, like cousins, not sisters. Is that how it goes? Then I'm going to add some of that darker yellow, the one that kind of reads a little bit more orange, even though the color is dark yellow. I'm trying not to be too precious about it. So I'm holding my brush back farther toward the end so that I have less control. I am adding water before I add the pigment each time, but I'm trying to let it bloom out and not be the boss of it. That's hard for me. Then I added some red to both edges of that top left-hand piece. This red does dry back a bit more, and as I add more layers, it does kind of read more of an orangey red versus a blue red. It does blend in. It stands out a little bit less. It blends in a little bit more, which, you know, I'm okay with that. That's what you want, right? You want things to blend together. So the watercolors naturally kind of fade back when they dry. So I'm going to be adding multiple layers here. I'm still trying to remember to hold my brush at the very back and add the clear or the water before I add the pigment. My brain is rapidly forgetting words, so I sound like I sound like I'm asleep. Sorry. I am trying to remember all of the words, but I just keep going back and forth. I did add some red splats here. Turns out I didn't like it, but it's watercolor, so it was really easy to like eliminate and change. I'm adding some of the dark orange again. I'm just going back and forth until I have what I feel like is a nice pool of pigment. Then I went ahead and pulled in my heat tool and heat set that for a few seconds. And then I added some more red down at the one corner. I just felt like it needed a little bit more of that red down there. And then I blotted up with a baby white those ink splats that I didn't like. So because this is watercolor, it should be reactive with a wet baby wipe, right, with water. So I put the stencil down, and my plan was to pull the pigment out through the openings on the stencil. And it was successful-ish. I thought then, okay, I'm going to put some water on the back of the stencil and then kind of go through the openings and see what I get. And again, it was successful-ish. Didn't have the exact look I was going for, but that's okay. It did take some of the solid color out of those watercolor blocks, and so I guess that's what I was looking for. I just kind of was hoping to see more of the pattern. So after that, I went ahead and grabbed that archival ink pad again, and I've just got a blending foam here. And I'm adding a little bit of that watering can archival ink in just a couple of spaces or spots around the page. Just to try and get some more of that color, I put some water down and picked it up with a paper towel to see if that would work, or put some water on the back of the stencil rather. Picked it up with a paper towel to see how much I could get there. No biggie. This is not the focal image. I try not to stress too hard about it when my first plan didn't work. It's not the focal image. It's just background. It's just background. I added a little bit of clean water with the paintbrush and used that same paper towel to pull up that, so I did get some more of those water splats. And my next step was to add some of this brick wall texture with the stencil. So I pulled out, this is sepia, I think was the color, and an ink blending foam. Not as successful as I wanted, but I still liked how it turned out. So I was kind of hoping for a little bit more, like in my brain, I was going to get more of a solid look. I don't know, but I didn't, and I think it turned out better actually. So now that I have all of my background stuff done, we're going to go ahead and trim this down. I'm going to go about 5.5 by 8 inches. I think that's the size of the pages in the rest of my art journals. This watercolor paper was a little bit bigger, so I had to remember, and remembering was hard. So the next thing I'm going to do is pull that ink splat stamp back out and the archival ink pad again, and add a few more ink splats to the edges and perimeter area because some of them got cut off when I trimmed my page. So I've decided to go ahead and use this gal with the green or the kind of peacocky green wrap. And while I pulled all of these elements out, I did not prearrange my collage. And probably I should have. I will say that right now. I should have planned ahead of time how I wanted my collage to look. I did not use everything I pulled out. And yeah, I should have prearranged it. So I'm going to start with a couple of stickers here. I did not make you watch the entirety of me trying to get the backs off all of these stickers because some of them were hard. Also, this round one wasn't even a sticker. It was just a paper label, so I added some of that Fairly Arts glue I got in the mail not too long ago. And then I keep picking up my lady to see how I want to put these collage pieces down. Some of them I moved. More than one of them I moved. I was a little bit heavy-handed when I was laying them down on the paper. Like this little sticker here is some music notes, so it's kind of perfect to simulate a grounding area. This one here I put on and then realized it was completely covered up, so I peeled it up and moved it. I did tear that little circle down there because it's just paper, it's not sticker paper, but no biggie because I'm going to cover it up with my woman sticker there. And one thing I should not have done was add so much pressure to her because there were a couple other times I had to pick her up to put things back down. This one in my hand is a tissue paper sticker. I cut it in half and I put one half around the edge of that collage, and then I lifted up her legs and put the other one coming out from behind her because, you know, I liked it. I have a feather I'm going to put on her left side. Also requires me to pull her back up off the page. I don't know why I thought sticking her down before I was done with the collage was a good idea. This was a page that I made just because I wanted to play with my new watercolors. I wanted to use the stickers. I'm trying to use all these little pieces of ephemera, even though they're teeny tiny. This sticker is a nameplate. It says Discovery on it. I'm putting it down there at the bottom to kind of hide the fact that her feet are cut off. Like there's no feet in that sticker, which I didn't notice beforehand. I also have these little vellum pieces that came in that ephemera pack from Amazon. I'm sticking this one up behind her head to add a little bit of height to my ephemera cluster. I found another feather I'm going to put behind as well. Also, what else did I find to put in here? Oh, down by that Discovery name plaque is a key I slid in there. I then pulled out my PH Martins and used the Pain Gray to add some black ink splats with a fan brush. I covered up my collage. I didn't want too many ink splats on that, especially like a black dot right in her face. That would look odd, right? And once I had the ink splats down, I pulled out my Tim Holtz Chit Chat stickers and added a couple more words. I added adventure and travel, also down around her feet to kind of hide the fact that they didn't print her feet in that sticker. But it all goes together. You know, discovery, travel, adventure, it all goes together. And then I signed it because it was done. I stopped while I was ahead. I punched holes in it so it would fit into my binder. I keep my art journal pages in A5 size binder. So here's a couple close-ups of that collage and the word stickers. And that's the whole page. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I have a couple other videos here I think you will like. I've also added that subscribe button. If you have not yet subscribed, go ahead and click that button. I would love to have you subscribe to my channel. And leave me a comment down below. Tell me your favorite color. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Have a really great day.